Moving on, TikToker Dylan Mulvaney on facial feminization surgery. I'm starting to enjoy being alive.
So Dylan Mulvaney has become somewhat of a magnet personality on TikTok associated with the trans community. Now, I will also say that Dylan has become a bit of a magnet for some debate and back and forth arguing among the trans community on TikTok because some of Dylan's followers are, shall we say, overzealous about Dylan's role in the place. But Dylan actually went in to have facial feminization in December. And after that journey, of bringing me there, said she dedicated a small note to her face that said, "Dear sweet face, you did me good. If we stuck it out together forever, we would have made it work. But you sparked a sadness much too often that most will never relate to. I wonder how I'll look back at you in a matter of weeks. For now, you're still my friend. Thank you for listening to my needs and taking one for the team. Please don't feel like you failed. I can assure you it's me, not you." Um,
Cute.
so Dylan
That's
was
so
trying to make a
adorable.
little bit of lightheartedness, kind of the transformation that Dylan was going through. And as Autumn has said, it created a massive debate. And what was at issue is Dylan has only been out for a year. And Dylan is very public. Has been doing the entire movement of her transition on TikTok, giving a daily diary to followers. The thing is that in a year's time of being out, she has already moved into facial feminization surgery, which creates a little bit of, I'm not going to say jealousy, but there is a little bit of a discrepancy in recognizing what Dylan has access to is not the story of typical trans people who are still waiting to get gender affirming therapy, who are still waiting to get on hormones or to have their hormones correctly done, much less those of us who are fighting just to be able to have access to that care. I have not heard of any of us in the trans community who begrudge Dylan the privilege that she has. But we are also trying to bring attention to the fact that what Dylan has access to is not representative of the experience of the majority of trans people in the world.
Yeah, and I do applaud her for taking that step to sort of address that. It was in that note, to her face, but we could have made it work. Um, but this is something that I need to do. There are so many people that have
Right.
to deal with it, and there are some that that sort of no matter what don't ever feel like they'll be able to pass. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very important message to remember that that is still a valid trans identity, and that's something that we're really trying to fight hard to make sure that is recognized, that cisgender male bodies and faces differ greatly. Women's bodies, the same thing, and faces, and trans people are going to be the same, and we're going to react differently to HRT, and it's going to take more time for certain people, and some of us won't have the financial means to do some of these surgeries that others are, and we have to make sure that we recognize that all trans identities are valid despite what you look like. It's not under your control. Your
Yeah.
gender assigned at birth was not under your control. And make sure that we don't add pressure to what's already going on for trans folks, and make sure that,
Yeah.
yeah, just know that you are valid and that you are loved and good enough as you are. And just because you
Right.
can't afford a surgery doesn't affect your validity as a trans person.
Autumn pointed out, the economic differences, the economic discrepancy. I have not had a check-in to see where my levels are. And, Mira was talking about, that the E was too high. And so now, having to go back. I've not been able to do a check-in in I can't remember. I think March was my last one of last year. When I went in to do my blood test last week, I had to cancel my appointment because just the blood draw was $750.
Jeez.
My rent is $1,350. One blood draw to do my check was more than half of my rent. And so I have to cancel appointments because I can't afford it.
Wow.
So it is wonderful that Dylan has the opportunities that she has. But many of us are out here talking about our transitions louder than Dylan because we are fighting to be even seen as valid, and yet do not have the access that she has to some of the wonderful effects.
That's an interesting point that that Vespers makes as well. That a lot of folks, of our generation, come out very late in life, and
Mhm.
as you get into your later years, that limits the effects of HRT. That limits the ability to have any of the surgeries, um, because because of your age, because of your weight, because of so many other things.
Mhm.
So it's just calling out and bringing light to the fact that it comes down to passing, right? And passing is a privilege, and not everybody has that privilege. Not everybody has the financial means or the abilities to get passing privilege. And by passing, I mean passing as just another normal cis person in society, without question. And so it's really important to remember that, and to honor trans folks, even if they don't fit into a mold. The same the way we fight to honor women who don't fit into a mold for
Yeah.
body shape and size, and to a lesser degree men, but the men still have a lot of pressure as well. So
Yeah.
it's something that we need to really evaluate across our society.
And Shannon brings up a very good point because Shannon and I are both on TikTok, and we have a connection there. And at the same time that Dylan was doing this thing, a lot of a lot of us in the trans community were trying to bring attention to that discrepancy, that difference. And we had the fans that Dylan has created are really overzealous, and they would insert themselves into the conversation that the other trans community was trying to have, and disrupting and accusing us of sour grapes, accusing us of not, of Dylan being a better representative of the trans community, of Dylan being able to, do things that, they understood the trans community so much better because of Dylan, while at the same time dismissing the trans community because they were fans of Dylan.
Yeah, and there's something to be said that a beautiful trans woman, a handsome trans man, gets more followers, gets more visibility, gets more people supporting them, just because of that passing privilege. Whereas someone who doesn't pass, just it's just an unfair fact about our society. You know,
Yeah.
one of the things that we've seen recently is we've seen women, cisgender women, who are getting attacked and physically attacked, getting thrown out of bathrooms and things like that, because they don't pass.
Yeah.
A cisgender woman doesn't meet the requirements of looking like a woman, apparently, according to certain standards. And so it is a big problem across our society. And yeah, we're hopefully we'll get to a day soon where um, people will just kind of calm down. But it seems like we're going the opposite direction.
Exactly.
Drummed up by all this fear mongering of you know men taking advantage of trans rights and getting into bathrooms.